just get started and we'll figure out the chat thing on the back end. So welcome to the Being Good. I'm sorry about the technical difficulties in the beginning, but I am Mia Garrett, and I decided to come to you guys from my backyard. So it's a very natural setting. It's a beautiful day, but you guys might hear some noises. There might be some people. There were somebody doing yard work a few minutes ago. You might hear birds. You might hear airplanes. If at any time you need me to speak loudly, to speak louder, the link in the email goes to your book. Okay. If at any moment you guys need me to speak louder, just let me know. We'll figure out the chat thing later. I don't know what's going on with that. But I definitely want this to be a informative workshop, but not too long. If you guys know me, I can be very long-winded and talk forever, but I definitely want you guys to get the most out of this, but I know that it's the middle of the day. So I want to do it quickly. Also, I am at home and all of my children are here, even my 11-year-old who had a stomach ache this morning and could not go to school. So I may have to take a break because the 3-month-old is in there, and at any time, you know, my mother-in-law might pop in and say, hey, Mia, one of the kids needs you. This is real life. I'm a real mom. I'm at home and my kids are in there. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to share my screen, and we are going to pull up this, let's see. Okay, now I'm screen sharing. Let's get there. Let's hit that. All right. Roche, you guys have me on text, so let me know if you can see the Being Good workshop, the presentation. For now, I'm just going to go ahead and get started. So this is, and welcome to the Being Good workshop, where we as parents, educators, and people who love our children and our community are coming together to learn new ways to respond to what we feel is poor behavior in our children. We want to help our children to be better, to help them to regulate themselves. And we're going to do that by introducing real practical strategies that they can use every day. All right, so a little bit about Village Life. Village Life Therapy is a behavioral health agency that I started last year. We focus on parents, children, and educators. So if you all know of anyone who is struggling as a parent, that's every parent I know, or an educator that's feeling burnt out, even the teachers of your own children, if you feel like they need a little help, here is our referral line. The number is 404-692-0002. I know, I love this number. I just got it recently. So if you know anyone, this is how to get in contact with us. All right, so I am Mia. I am a mother, wife, and therapist. These are my 3 beautiful boys here on the screen. Kali, or Satu, I'm sorry, Satu, who's 11. His middle name is Kali, so you might hear me slip up and call him that every now and then. Mahdi just turned 2 in December. You can see him there eating his giant cupcake for his birthday. And Hakeem, with his precious little dimple, is only 3 months old. He was also born in December, so December was a very busy month for us. I am the wife to my wonderful husband, Satu, and I am a therapist. I have been doing clinical work for about 3 years. I've been working with children and adolescents for 6 years. So it's really a passion of mine to help kids be successful with behavior, because I know if you're a parent like me, you can see how a bad day at school affects your kids' self-esteem. I know that I'm trying to raise a smart and confident young man. And when in my work, I'm trying to produce confident young men and women who can solve their problems. And that's just the why. That's what I do, why I do what I do. So let's talk about my greatest inspiration is my wonderful 11-year-old. So he is extremely intelligent, but since kindergarten, we have been getting emails, notes home, notes pinned to the book bag, phone calls about his impulsive behavior. This could be anything from running around the classroom to talking out of turn, not raising his hands, all kinds of things. But he is very, very energetic. He also makes straight A's. And so teachers are confused, as was I as a parent, about how to approach behavior modification strategies with him. So he is why I created Being Good. These are strategies that we use in our home that I have found to actually work to improve his ability to control his own behavior. Because parents, we're going to talk about this later, but we are not puppeteers. We have to teach our kids how to control their own behavior. We can't do it for them, no matter how much we'd like to. I would love to know what brings you, but my chat's not working. So chat is actually a really important part of this webinar. I would really love to hear from you guys and what your experiences have been, but we're going to have to skip that part. And I promise that we are going to dive into those things. Maybe in a Facebook group or my next Instagram post. But unfortunately, my chat's not working. This will not happen again. My husband is in IT and I should know better, y'all. But we will have this conversation for sure. The importance of behavior. Behavior affects every part of our lives. It affects school, it affects our friendships, the community, our work. We have to stop and read an email about behavior, our marriages when we're fussing and arguing about what strategy to use next. Do we spank? Do we get on punishment? Do we send him to his room? Do we ground her from the party? And it really affects the dynamics of the family. So it is of the utmost importance that we address the behaviors in a meaningful, effective way. To do this, we are going to focus on something called executive functioning. So I want everyone to do something for me. Take your pointer finger and touch your forehead right between your eyebrows. Behind the finger, behind your beautiful face or handsome face, in your brain is behind this finger is called the prefrontal cortex. That is where executive function happens. Executive function is organizational skills, it's impulse control, it's the ability to plan, it's cognitive flexibility, which means that you can shift your attention from one thing to another. It's attention span, it's your ability to focus. In a nutshell, executive functioning is what helps our children to complete task. If you're like me as a parent, you've gotten those emails or phone calls that say your child is not completing their work, or they can't sit still through a lesson, or they're calling out of turn. A lot of times it's impulsivity. They have something going on in their mind that they just have to get out. I know my son says it like this: Mommy, I just have so much in my mind, it has to come out of my mouth. And so we have to have strategies to teach our children to not speak, to hold it in. Park your thoughts in the parking lot, which is one thing that is actually a group therapy strategy that I use in my work, that I also use the language at home. Okay, so let's get a little more brainy. Let's talk a little bit more about the brain. If you know me, this is one of the best ways to communicate how to change behavior with your child, is to speak about the brain. There are two different sides of the brain, your feeling brain system and your thinking brain, which is your prefrontal cortex brain, or the limbic system. In girls is much bigger than in boys, and so that's why when we have teenage girls, we think they're going plumb crazy and losing their minds, because their limbic system is on fire, as those hormones of normal child development are in there running all wild and they're just going crazy. But there are three parts of the limbic system. first we have the amygdala, the hippocampus, and what we call the basal structures. The amygdala is a very, very important part of our brain. It controls our fight or flight, which I'm sure you've heard of before, fight, flight, or freeze instincts. Us as people, when we experience anxiety, this is the part of the brain that's overactive or that's triggered in those moments. For some kids, this can be their amygdala can be triggered during a spelling test, triggered recess when it's time. This can be triggered during when their clip is moved down or their pencil is moved down to a different color or level, something that shows the entire classroom that they're behaving badly or poorly or not following directions. And then the response is to curse somebody out, get into a fight, become obnoxious. It could be to run around the classroom, run out of the classroom, or become very fidgety or irritable. Or it could be just to shut down. If you've ever seen your child just shut down, then there may be some anxiety that's being caused through the conversation that you're having. Now, the hippocampus is our stored. So this is where kids learn to associate behavior and consequences. So they remember here in the hippocampus that last time I dropped the milk, mom lost her mind and she almost beat the crap out of me. Not literally, figuratively, because we're not beating the crap out of our children. But this is where they hang on to those memories so that next time when they're pouring the milk, they're a little more careful. Is their amygdala is much more active than their hippocampus, and so their memory is they're remembering what the consequences are, but they can't help that fight, flight, or freeze instinct. Or your child may have a set of basal structures that are on fire, which is where desires and impulses live. Now, what I like to call this is grab and go. So if you have a child that doesn't think things through, like if they just grab something and run off with it, or grab and gulp, they grab and just eat it up real quick, or they're just moving really quickly. There's something is being accomplished during those movements. Some desire is being fulfilled. Now, why am I even talking about the brain? Why am I giving you all of these fancy terms that scientists use in a lab somewhere to develop something for us? It's because when you can name something, you can change it. When you can name it, you can change it. So I'm teaching you these words and the actions associated with them so that you can in turn teach your children. It's so important that even if they can't say amygdala, I've heard it used as a mig. I had a mig moment, which means that I just froze up. I just ran away. I just decided to stand there and stick it out and fight for what I believed in, or not what I believed in, but to fight off the adversary that I had in my mind. When I froze up on my spelling test, I had a mig moment. Or I couldn't remember my hip wasn't activating, it wasn't working properly, and I know that I know that that's where my memories are, they're in my hip. Or my B structures are where my impulses are. My B structures were acting crazy, they were pushing me to do something, but I was able to control it. When they can use language to describe what's actually going on in their mind, you're empowering your kids to be able to change and control their behavior. Move on to the thinking brain, or the prefrontal cortex. A lot and hear it a lot during this webinar, which is executive functions. And again, that's decision making and processing. So all of the information that comes through to our kids and what they do with it is all about it happens in the prefrontal cortex. So let's just review exactly what executive functioning is. It's the ability to organize, control your impulses, to plan and execute. It's the ability to shift from one thing to another, which is also called cognitive flexibility. And it's all about attention and focus. Executive functioning helps us accomplish tasks, complete tasks, and accomplish goals. I know that I'm giving a lot of information. If you guys could write your questions down, any questions at all that you have, I will answer them. You can email me and I'll make sure that I send out an email after this that you can respond to so that I can get your questions. I'm so sorry that the chat's not working. So what are we going to be going over? And there's an airplane going over. It's almost gone. So this workshop is 3 parts. What's good and define what we mean when we say good. We're going to look at the 5 strategies that you can implement right now to help your child to control their behavior. And we're going to dig into our parenting toolbox and maybe put a few extra things in there. Let's get started. What's good? I want you guys to think about very briefly, take about 30 seconds to think about how you would define good behavior. If you've downloaded the workbook, there is a section there for you to actually write in what you believe is good behavior. Even if you just have a pencil and paper down, just write, 1 to 5 things that you believe constitutes good behavior. What does it mean to you? And even if it sounds silly, that's okay. If good behavior is, eating all your food at Sunday dinner, that's fine. If it is cleaning up your toys before you go to bed, if good behavior is being respectful and not talking back, or being respectful and using a clear tone, whatever good behavior means to you, just write it down. Write about 3 to 5 things. Just give you guys a little bit of time to do that. Okay, hopefully you have your 3 to 5 things that you would say are good behavior for your children or the children that you work with. So let's talk about how we are communicating what those things are right now. Like me, these are a few of the ways that you are communicating what good behavior is. We're yelling, we're spanking, we're arguing, or we're completely ignoring the problem altogether. It's only because that's what's currently in our toolbox. I know growing up for me, directing, spanking, those were the things that my parents had in their toolbox. And that's where we get it from. But as I'm doing these things as a parent, these are the feelings that I'm having. I'm frustrated. I'm angry. I'm feeling sad. I'm feeling disappointed. I'm feeling scared for my child, especially my son having a black son. It's just when a black boy cannot control himself in this society, there are some really terrible things that could possibly happen to them. And so it makes me just very worried and scared for him, especially if a wonderful child can go into the classroom setting and come back with a judgment about their behavior and it's negative. That would worry any parent. So what we want to do is rethink the way that we're communicating what's good behavior. So we want to, first of all, communicate what to do and stop communicating what not to do. What not to do. That means stop, fill in the blank here. Stop running. Stop yelling. Stop chasing the dog. Stop hitting your brother. Those are the what not to do's. Have the refrigerator. Don't go in my refrigerator. Don't go in the cabinet. Leave. Don't go into the pot. My son loves going into the pot. Don't go outside. Don't watch that on TV. We're going to reframe the way that we're talking to our children, and we're going to communicate what to do. Hug your brother. Play this game with your brother or your sister. Clean your room. And we're going to talk about strategies for breaking down some of those tasks that we're asking our kids to do. Wait until dinner's ready. I will get you a snack. Go sit down. Just in switching, making that small adjustment and telling our kids what to do instead of what not to do can make a huge difference. Then we want to be clear. We want to be very clear on our directives that we're giving to our kids. This means if we say, go clean your room, that's a little ambiguous. Some of us have gone in with our children and said, this is what a clean room looks like for mommy or for daddy. However, a kid, if I say, go clean your room, sometimes my son will go upstairs and just pick up all the clothes and leave toys everywhere. And he says, well, the room is clean. But we have to be very clear on what we are expecting our kids to do when we give them directions. We want to have consistent messaging. And so we want to, if we say clean your room on Monday, we want to say clean your room Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and be consistent in that message. We also want to say that if it's okay to do something on those days, that we stay consistent with what we're telling our kids they are allowed to do or what we expect them to do every single day. It has to be a repetitive, consistent message. Have consistent responses. If on Monday something happens and I'm calm as a parent, I speak clearly, I communicate what to do, and on Tuesday I'm flying off the handle, I'm yelling and screaming, I'm cursing my kids out, I'm telling them to go to their room and they make me sick, those are inconsistent responses, and kids need consistency in order to have the strength and confidence to change their own behavior. So we as parents are going to work very, very hard on having a consistent response. And we're going to talk a little later about what's in your parenting toolbox so that you can, calm yourself down and have those consistent responses. And then we need strategies and tools. We need to give our kids the strategies and tools that will help them to control their behavior. We can't say be good like we say all the time. We're leaving them, be good, going to school, all right, have a good day, be good. We have to not only say that, but also make it very clear what we expect and give them the strategies and tools to meet those expectations. All right, so this was our practice time where we talk about the top 3 good behaviors, and we were going to make a clear, consistent message of what to do. But I do want you guys to still do that. So choose one of your behaviors from your list, and I want you to just write a short sentence, a what to do sentence that's clear, that tells your child exactly what you want them to do, exactly what you expect from them, and just write it next to or below whichever behavior you would like to work with right now. You guys just take a few minutes to do that. There's a lovely bird calling in the background as you work. Okay, I hope that you guys have your sentence all done. And we're going to move into the strategies. So now that we've covered how to clearly communicate what to do, keep our messages consistent, we are going to now identify the 5 strategies that are going to effectively help your child control their behavior. These are time tracking or using timers, notes for planning, having a brief yoga practice, a sensory box, and glitter jars. Glitter jars are really great for any gender, girls or boys. Glitter's not just for girls. And we're going to talk about how to use the glitter jar to help your child calm down. So let's jump into the 2 kinds of strategies, or 2 ways that you can use all 5 strategies. You can use them in a proactive way or a reactive way. Proactive means that these are things that you're incorporating into your daily schedule. So if maybe like for my son and I, we have incorporated yoga and mindfulness meditation into our morning routine. So every single morning, we strike 3 to 5 yoga poses and we do 5 minutes of mindful meditation every single day. And for me, that is something that when I send him out into the world, I feel like I'm sending him out with a resource like tracking your breathing, listening to your body, doing some body mapping, which are all mindfulness strategies that he can use in the moments when he's feeling out of control, when he's feeling like he's going to be impulsive. You can also use these in a reactive way. For example, if you have a toddler, which I do, that is just going crazy and he's not listening, and or he's very upset, throwing a temper tantrum for God only knows why, because he dropped his cookie and he can't reach it, although there's nothing stopping him. Maybe they just need a little bit of calming. You can put a glitter jar right in front of them, ask them to watch that glitter jar. It will immediately get their attention no matter what. But that is after the storm. So one is used before the storm, the other is used after the storm. One is used before the behavior to help to arm your kids with strategies that they can use in the moments. And then one is used after the behavior, after you already see the poor behavior, you can implement it that way. All right, so let's dive right into the strategies. So our first one is time tracking. Time tracking simply means using a timer to help your kids control how long it takes them to do an assignment or to complete a task. My son loves the timer. Lots of reasons why. Reasons is that it turns work into play. You know, if they're trying to hurry and beat the timer, now it's a game. It's not just boring, spelling words. It also motivates the desire to do well. So if you prerequisite, I don't know if that's the word I want to use. If you set them up with the directions of make sure that you write as neatly as you can for the next minute. That is a huge motivator to do their very best in a little bit of time. It also can be done independently. When I send you all your digital resources, I'm going to give you a link to a digital timer, which is right on it. It pops up on the computer screen for those of us with school-age children, and they can set it themselves. You can say, hey, set your timer for 5 minutes. They can do that themselves. And in 5 minutes, I expect questions 1 through 7 to be done. On your mark, get set, go. It's also a do-it-yourself activity. I'm going to send you guys a few videos for DIY timers, and imagine how much fun it will be for your kid to use the timer that they made on the weekend during the week for their homework time, for cleanup time, and you can do this with toddlers too. Hey, look, here's your timer. I'm turning it over. Let's say, for instance, you're using a sand timer. I'm turning it over. Let me see how fast you can put your toys away. They love it. You can also use a glitter jar for that too. We'll get into that later though. Dynamic uses. I'm so ahead of myself, but you can use it in all sorts of settings. Homework time, cleanup time, dinner time. I know my son struggles with eating his food. It doesn't have to be a 5-minute eat your dinner in 5 minute kind of thing, but it can be a eat your dinner in the next 20 to 30 minutes kind of thing. My son has spent more than an hour at the table at times. And so using a fun timer is a great way to keep it on kids' minds. It keeps them focused on the task at hand. The time tracker. If you guys have any questions, like I said, please write them down. I'm going to send you guys my email address so that I can answer them. Sticky note planning. This is one of my favorites, and I'm going to go over it, and then I'm going to share an example with how I use the sticky note planning. Sticky note planning helps to break any large task, any task at all. It could be walking to the bus stop. You can break any task into smaller tasks, no matter how small that task seems. It gives your child a focus break. So instead of having to think about and organize in their own mind how I'm going to get this task done, how I'm going to get my room clean, they have 10, not 10, let's say 3 to 10 smaller tasks that they can focus on individually. And I like to write "See Mom" at the bottom of some of those tasks so that he can give him a break to leave his room, come find me, and take a break from focusing on getting the task done. Checking in brings accountability as well. I cannot tell you how many times I've said, go clean your room. He comes back, he says his room is clean. I go up there and it is literally still a disaster. The bed's not made, there's toys everywhere, there's clothes everywhere. And I'm like, what part of your room did you clean? Which corner is clean? Please let me know. It helps them with that thing that we discussed earlier called cognitive flexibility, or the practice of shifting their attention. It's a very important skill, even in adulthood, to be able to quickly shift from your focus from one thing to another. And you can also get creative with your completed task. So if you decide that you're going to put your sticky notes on the wall, what my son really likes to do, we have fish tanks upstairs and downstairs. He likes to take his sticky note off the wall, place it on the fish tank, and proclaim that he is officially done. And he thinks he's a jokester, so he just thinks it's the funniest thing in the world. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen really quickly so that I can show you guys. Let me figure this out. I know you guys can see me. Okay, I want to show you guys how I organize my sticky notes. So I put it in just like a regular folder, like a manila folder, but I like things that grab my attention, which is this beautiful folder. And this is how I've organized my son's task. The son is kind of going away, so I'm gonna put it on this side. So the chores that he has to do: clean his room, take out the trash, clean up the backyard. We have a dog. Our dog poops in the backyard. It's his responsibility to take care of that dog. So you see how for clean your room, I have broken it down into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different tasks. Each of these tasks has "See Mom" on it because I can't trust him to get his room clean or do any of these things without that accountability check-in. So these are easily removed. Well, I got the extra sticky ones. So you can put these on the wall. You can keep them in the folder with them. But this is how I leave this in the office and I tack it up on our board, our family board, so that at any point in time, he can decide what he would like to do with them. He can take the folder upstairs with him, and so that he can put his task on the fish tank. He can put them on the fish tank downstairs, since that's something that he likes to do. And it's up to you as the parent or the person who is using the strategy on how you want to break them down. I've broken down clean your room into pick everything up off the floor, fold, hang, or put your clothes in baskets, in your dirty clothes basket. Put everything in its place. Go see Mom. Make both beds. He has 2 beds, his toddler brother's bed and his own. Tank. So I want to see all of these things done. Once all of these things are done, then your room is clean. Now, let's talk about rewards. I'm going to scooch over just a little bit. You guys, as parents or people who are using the strategy, are welcome to reward your children when they have accomplished one of those major tasks. So once you've done every small task, maybe you get 30 minutes of playing outside with your friends before you have to do your homework. Or you can have a cookie, or you can do, whatever, maybe 10 minutes of Roblox. My son loves Roblox on the computer. You can have 10 minutes of Roblox because you have accomplished your major task. Rewarding your child for doing the things that you want them to do, for meeting your expectations, is extremely important when it comes to behavior modification or helping them to change their own behavior. Okay, let's get back to it. I'm going to share my screen again. Share. Okay, screen is shared. Okay, here we go. Tell my husband that I am like struggling with this with this presentation because he is a software developer. He expects me. He expects that savviness to be rubbed off on me. Okay, so now that we've gone through sticky notes, let's talk about breathing buddies. Is a mindfulness strategy to help kids to get out of their mind, to stop thinking, because some kids have very rapid thoughts, and that's why they move so fast. So we say you're just not thinking things through when actually they've thought it through and they've thought about something else, and they're thinking about the TV show that they watched last night, and they're thinking about the cards, the Yu-Gi-Oh to play, and they're thinking about the thing that their friends said yesterday in class, and they've just moved so quickly past thinking it through that they're just moving and they've forgotten what they really need to do. So breathing buddies is in a way a strategy that helps your kids to just slow down when they need to get something done. Technique is having a child lie down on their back and take one of their favorite stuffed animals and just place it on their belly. Make sure the stuffed animal isn't too big or too small, but something that they can see while they're laying down. And then just have your child practice breathing in and out, in and out. Sometimes the bear will fall off. Don't make a big deal. Just put it back on their tummy and continue to coach them in breathing in and out, in and out. In a reactive way to use this strategy, if your child, especially young children, if they are having problems managing with their emotions, which all toddlers have problems with their emotions, and that's where we get temper tantrums, having them grab their breathing buddy gives them a way, a strategy to themselves down. If you teach it before they are having an emotional meltdown, then when they're in the midst of it, they can use it to calm themselves down. So, breathing buddies is about self soothing, it's about emotional regulation. Practicing focus, watching that bear going up and down allows them to practice focus. It's a brain exercise. There's lots and lots of scientific research that says that mindfulness and meditating actually grows our ability to enact will on our own lives, enact our will on our lives. So we say we want to do something, we're able to follow through on it. And then it helps calm us down. Adults, if there are times where you are having issues with your own emotions, having a breathing buddy actually works. I've tried it. If you want to just fold your hands over your stomach and breathe in and out and focus on the motion of your hands going up and down, you can look at them, you can close your eyes, and then you can actually experience what you're teaching your kids and how wonderful and effective this strategy is. Okay, so breathing buddies and yoga were together in your workbook as far as a strategy. So just a word about yoga. Yoga does the same thing of helping kids to manage their thought processes. I'm sorry, guys. Excuse me. Helping kids to manage their thought processes, helping them to calm down, helping them to self-soothe. Yoga does the same thing. But it takes everything just one step further, and that yoga also helps children with controlling their gross motor skills, which means if you have a child that has problems controlling their physical body, then you want to try yoga. My son has issues with sitting properly in his chair. He has issues with holding his body strongly so that he can practice the sports that he's into or that he's enrolled in. And we're always telling him, hold your body strong, hold your arms strongly, get in a good stance. When we're playing baseball, spread your feet apart, get in a good stance. And for him, he's kind of, just kind of all willy-nilly and loose with his arms and his legs and where he places himself. And sometimes that can actually be very dangerous for a child if they're not paying attention to what their body is doing in the world as they're walking across the street, as they're running through a playground or a play yard, as they're dealing with other children. You want them to have control over their bodies. And yoga is an excellent practice for that. Like I said, we do it every morning for about this, and each pose is about 3 to 5 breaths. I don't want to overwhelm him. He's still only 11, and I have realistic expectations for attention span, but it really does work. Right, let's talk about our next to last strategy, number 4, which is the glitter jar. The glitter jar is a very, very simple activity that you can do with kids that helps with calming them down, helps them practice mindfulness, can be used independently. It helps them regulate their emotions, and it helps them to do self-soothing. As a part of your digital resources, I'm going to give you all some links that you can create a glitter jar, but it's simply glitter, clear glue, and water. And they shake it up, they sit it in front of them, and they watch it. And believe me, it is magical calming mechanism. Even as adults, we could use glitter jars ourselves if you want. And let me just say this about using these strategies to help us as adults and parents regulate our own emotions. We need to keep it real with our kids, the fact that we sometimes have problems managing our own emotions. It is just human, and we don't have to be perfect for our kids. And actually letting them in on the fact that we're not perfect and that we do struggle ourselves, practicing some of these strategies with them. When my son is doing his mindfulness and his yoga in the morning, I'm right there with him because I let him know, mommy wants to have a good day too. And so I'm going to do the yoga and I'm going to do the mindfulness with you, because just like I want you to have a good day, I want to have a good day. Mommy is feeling very frustrated. Behavior is causing me to feel angry or feel frustrated. Let's get together, me and you together. Let's sit down, look at the glitter jar so we can both calm down. It just reinforces the validity of the strategy. They're more likely to use it if they say, I see mommy and daddy using it too. All right, the last one is our sensory box. This is my absolute favorite because you can get anything from anywhere, whether it's inside or outside, and make a sense box. A sensory box is just a little plastic box, can be a shoe box, can be a bucket, any kind of container that holds little or we call them manipulative, something small that kids can put in their hands to help them with focus. It silences the fidgeting, because there's nothing wrong with fidgeting. We've demonized in the classroom, but there's nothing wrong with kids moving themselves. There's actually a lot of science behind the fact that they learn better when they're moving. Independent. It helps with self-regulation, and it brings variety. You can have anything from a fuzzy, let me see, I actually brought some examples. Use what you can put in your box. I'm going to stop sharing just for another second. Let me see. All right, this is box. I'm sorry, I'm getting text messages. This is my little sensory box, and here I have a simple Lego. And if your kid is doing homework time, or if they are watching something that they need to pay attention to, fidgeting actually helps them to process the information into their hippocampus, into their memory banks, so that they can later recall that information in school or whatever, if they're being tested on it. So I have a little Lego here. I have like a toy that I think was like a cog or something that moved. I have a simple block. It's smooth. Something, you see, every toy is small, something that they can just fingers. Sensory, I have this fuzzy ball. It's nice and fuzzy. And these are things that they can do as they're writing. They're writing, they're doing their homework, and they're fidgeting with their furry little ball here. This is one of my son's favorites. It's a little lizard. It's squishy, slimy, it's stretchy. A word to the wise, things like this, oh, I hit my computer. Things like this here can also become distractions. So if you find your son in doing his homework and he's doing this and he's doing one of these and he's trying to flip it around, if he's doing all that, then maybe this is not the best toy. But I have given him one warning so far, and I'm a 3 warning kind of mom, but I've given him one warning. Hey, you're going to lose the ability to play with this lizard or whatever it is in your sensory box if you cannot control how you're using it and being responsible with it. But you see, just sitting here, it's so easy just to, if he has to read, which he has to read for every day for 20 minutes, even though he reads way longer than that. But the things that he has to read that are mandatory, especially for mom, that he doesn't want to read, he's doing it to kind of keep his attention. All right, y'all, we're almost done. I'm going to go back to sharing my screen again that I could be taking you guys as questions. Screen share. Oh, I'm getting better at this. Present to everyone. Bam. Boom. Bada. Okay, Bobs. And you guys can see how much variety that can bring into a otherwise maybe boring activity is your sensory box. In your workbooks, I have given you a very long list of sensory words that you guys can get creative with and find just around the house. You can put an ice cube in a plastic bag in your sensory box every day for their after school homework, if that's something that helps them with staying focused. It's touching something cold or something warm, a warm cloth, a paper towel, a koosh ball, if you guys remember what those are. They have the plastic lines all over them. All right. So for the next maybe 15 minutes, I really want to talk about us as parents and our parenting toolbox. If you guys have any questions about the strategies, please feel free to contact me through email. I'm going to send you guys your digital resources. Again, in those digital resources will be a direct link to me so that you can ask your questions and I can answer them. I mean, maybe even a Facebook group for us as parents to come together and support each other that have been through this program and are trying these strategies out. Our parenting toolbox, we're going to talk about the change process, because a lot of people think that you introduce the strategy, give it to your child, they change, and that is absolutely not what you should be expecting. We're going to talk about the importance of modeling behavior for parents and not puppeteers. And then we're going to speak about the measuring process, because you can't change what you don't measure. Can't change what you don't measure. You can't change what you don't name either, which is why we talked about the brain earlier. All right, so there are 5 stages of change. Of course, they have very fancy names, but it goes a little bit like this. We have the pre-contemplation phase, which is you're not thinking about change at all. Your kid is so far away from thinking about changing their behavior, they're not even aware of the fact they need to change something. The contemplation stage, or the thinking about change. They understand that they need to change something and it's on their mind. Then you have the determination stage, which is they're planning for change, which means that you've given them the strategies and they have a plan. Then you go into the action phase, which is that they're practicing their strategies or they're practicing their change. Then you go into strategies to hold on to the change, which is maintenance. You cannot just strategies and let your child go. Some level of tweaking and figuring out what works. Just like my kid likes to put the sticky notes on the fish tank and claim that he's officially done. That is how your child likes to do things, then let them do it. If at any point that becomes a distraction and you're noticing that the sticky notes, like him actually physically touching them, are not a good idea, and that you're finding them all over the floor, maybe using a folder posted up on the wall is a better way to use the strategy. So you're going to want to figure out what works best for your child in maintaining their change. Understanding where your child is in the change process can help you understand how best to encourage them to action and experiencing success and good behavior. What I mean by that is, if your child is not thinking about change, your conversation should be about why they need to change. Why is this behavior negatively affecting why is this behavior hindering them from accomplishing their goals? Why do they need to change? If your child is in the practice or the action phase, maybe your conversations will be about how it's going. Your sticky note tool, how did that feel? Okay, I see that you grabbed your breathing buddy. I'm really proud of you for that. How did it feel when you grabbed the breathing buddy? Did it work for you? Did it help you calm down? School, what strategies did you use the most today at school? How did you figure things out for yourself when things got tough? I see you came home on red today. Totally okay. I'm okay with red as long as you're using your strategies. Use Having those types of conversations will help to keep those strategies on their minds, and if it's on their mind, they're going to use them. You guys, parents are not puppeteers. Say this with me. My child is a person. My child is a person. Forget that our children are individuals with their own minds, motivations, and agendas. Yes, but they are still, at the moment of decision, the decision makers. We need to detach ourselves from feeling the highs and the lows of self-esteem, our own self-esteem, that comes along with the highs and lows of our children's behavior. You have to trust the fact that your child is normal and they're supposed to make mistakes, just like we as parents are normal and we are going to make mistakes. Kids don't come out with manuals. We are all just trying to figure it out. My first child is 11 years old. I have no idea what to do with the 12-year-old. I don't know what to do with the 13-year-old. Now, I do have an advantage because of my education, my clinical background. However, I'm just starting to bring my practice that I do with other kids into my home. My kid has been in school, what grade? We're in 5th grade for 5 years. And I'm just now starting to bring these strategies home. And so we're going to make mistakes. They're going to make mistakes. But we have to detach our as parents from our child's behavior. Tell yourself daily that you're a good parent and that you're doing the best that you can. And at the end of the day, you are is not attached to the decision that your child makes. So what do we say? You can't change what you don't measure. So in your workbooks, I have provided you with progress journals. Are things that you can print out. And every day, you guys should be checking in on strategies and how they worked for you and what you would like to do better. Parents, I urge you to do this activity along with your child and share your experiences with one another. Share that, the strategy that I tried was deep breathing, or the breathing buddy strategy, hands on my belly. And I did it when I saw that I told my child to stop running through the house 5 times and I was about to lose it. I put my hands on my belly and I breathed in and out for 5 breaths. How did I respond? I felt a lot better. How did my kids respond to it? They looked at me crazy, but they stopped running to look at what I was doing. Better next time is I will use my breathing buddy technique the second time so that I don't get as frustrated. Your kids are going to go through the same process. What strategy they use, how did it work, and how they're going to change next time to do better. Like I said, both of these things are inside of your Being Good workbook. And if you guys want to just print these out, I think that'd be the best way to use the tool. Modeling behavior. This one is easy and simple. Do the things that you want to see done. Nothing works as well as modeling behavior. So this is, you remember that thing, do as I say, not as I do, it doesn't work. We know it doesn't work because we've been children once upon a time. And we did as we saw and not as we were told. Most of the time we did as we were told, but think about what you do now, and a lot of us do the things that we saw in our households. So show your kids good behavior, model the good behavior, and they will be good too. You guys, you are not alone. The parents that showed up today, I just want to say thank you so much for being here, and to use as a resource. Like I said, I'll make a Facebook group. I'll send everybody who is here a link to sign up for that Facebook group so that we can continue to support each other through these strategies, through practicing these strategies at home. But sometimes as a parent, it really can feel like you're alone because we get embarrassed about our child's behavior or our children's behavior. We don't want to tell people that we just don't know what to do when everyone is looking at us in the grocery store and our 2-year-old is having a complete meltdown in the middle of the aisle. Why don't we walk up to each other as moms and dads and say, it's okay. It's okay. Everybody's looking at your kid because they're making noise, but they're not judging you as a parent. It's okay. We are here at Village Life. So now let's talk about Village Life Therapy. We are a place to learn. We are a place to practice. So what I have done is come up with 2 different groups that I would love to offer to everyone that's here at the workshop, to have a place to learn and a place to practice. We went over these 5 strategies, but believe me, we can go so much deeper in learning and practicing and tweaking and adjusting and modeling and talking and expressing how we feel about things in order to be better parents. Our kids need the exact same thing. They need a place to learn and practice without judgment. One day, it's okay. If we mess up one day, it's okay, as long as we continue on with practicing the strategies. So I'm offering 2 different groups, one for kids and one for parents. In both groups, we are going to go over skills and support. The education is what we did in the beginning of this workshop, talking about the pieces of the brain that rule over behavior. Talked about skills and strategies that we can implement right now to help your kids change their behavior. And then we're going to come together and support each other as parents and as children, in the practicing and the mistakes that we make while we're implementing these new skills and our new education that we've learned. So these meetings will be online or in person, depending on where you are. The individual rate, so if you only want to enroll your child or yourself into a group, it will be $47 a week. For both parent and child, it will be $74 per week. Now, the way that these work, want to just pop in for a group, that's fine as an adult. But for a child would have to commit, or you would have to commit your child to attending at least 8 sessions, because it takes 8 sessions to build rapport, and which is basically means to build the relationship with the child and to help them to change their behavior and to help them learn the skills, practice the skills, and take them back, and then talk about how they felt afterwards. And it's just clinically appropriate for children to be in therapy for at least 8 sessions to get some kind of results. If you guys want to pay by the month, the option is a reduced rate of $168 per month for the individual and $276 a month for both parent and child. Now, not interested in spending money right now and joining a group, like I said, I will have the Facebook group available for you to pop in and get your questions answered and to find support in that way. It doesn't have to that you're in the weekly group, but the weekly group is where we will dig a lot deeper into the strategies that we've been over today, as well as new strategies for that we can for ourselves as parents and our children in implementing behavior modification. If you're interested, please call in at 404-692-0002. And I will answer the phone and sign you right up. I'll send you the PayPal link and we can get started. Our next group starts next month in April. Yes, we're almost in April. It starts in April. So you would need to sign up by the last day of this month, which I believe is the 31st. Thank you all so much for being here. I just cannot reiterate enough. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so you can see the sincerity in my face. Stop sharing. Now let me find myself. Exit. Here I am. I just want to say thank you so much to everyone for being here. I know that parenting is not easy. I know that we all struggle in some way, shape, form in understanding what it takes to make our kids great. And I'm just so happy that you're here with me and going through new ways or new strategies to implement in your household that have definitely worked for us. Once again, I'm Mia. You guys can find me on Facebook at www.facebook.com/revolution4home, and that'll take you to the Village Life page, and you can like that page and stay updated on all the great things that are to come. I'm definitely going to send you guys all of your digital resources, which will definitely include a way to all the questions that you had during the webinar today that you were not able to ask me because I couldn't get the chat working. You can definitely email me those and I will answer them promptly. So it's 3:06. We did really great. We kept it an hour. I'm so proud because I know how long-winded I can be. But thank you again for joining us, for joining me at the Being Good workshop, and I will see you next time.